Welcome to Best Boys, a film podcast. An amateur film study podcast for the average Joe, the buffest buffs, and the cringest bingers. I'm your host, JP, and I'm joined by my brother, professional Hollywood videographer.
Kory with a story. Welcome back, everybody.
What do we got on this docket today, my friend?
We've got I guess you could call this a Christopher Nolan episode. And I would also could say we're looking at his best and worst. But two movies that just mess with you via time, one through editing and one through actual time manipulation, but and a lot of convolutedness. So
yeah, that's kind of Christopher Nolan's thing. That's definitely
convolution.
Yeah, convolution. And yeah, that's what I would say is his thing, and he does it well in many films. But this is definitely an example of one that's not. You know, that wasn't a convoluted Christopher Nolan film. Is Dunkirk? Didn't he do that?
Yeah, he did Dunkirk. I've only seen parts of it.
Dunkirk is really good, and it's not one of those movies. It's just more of a straightforward war story. Yeah, I think so. Let's start as always before we start sinking our teeth into the bones. Well, first of all, do you want to, what are you up to? You're on the West Coast today.
No, I'm back in Pittsburgh today.
Oh,
but
already.
I got back in yesterday. I had to go out for it's our very final day of Euphoria BTS, only to get there and it cancels. But we were this artist Labyrinth. He does the music for the show Euphoria, and we were supposed to shoot some B-roll with him to go alongside with an interview that we did a few weeks back. But he got sick, so we just shot in his studio for like a half hour, then got kicked out, and that's it. Came home.
Sounds like a fun time. What's up with your voice? You sound a bit hoarse.
Yeah, I think it's just from traveling to the West Coast. It's super dry out there, and then it's cold here in Pittsburgh now. And then being on a plane is very dry as well. So my voice has just been kind of Barry Whitening it for the day. I'm going to be super deep voice. I'm sorry if it comes off a little too rumbly, raspy, but I'll try to be concise and not be too much.
I'm Barry White.
Ooh, baby, let me tell you something.
That is pretty low. All right. Well, that's interesting. Do you want to tell anyone about your secret your pants screenings?
Yeah, so if you're in the Pittsburgh area, on Tuesday, December 14th at the Parkway Theater in Pittsburgh, the world premiere screening of Rough Pants is going live, and don't worry, it'll be on YouTube and stuff at some point later. We're still trying to figure out the release, our attack, essentially. But it's definitely going to be it's the best thing I've ever done, I think, and I'm hoping that it's not I've been telling everyone it's my magnum opus, but I hope
stop saying that. Yeah, you need to stop saying that, because that means you'll never do anything after this.
Oh, I know, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Don't doom yourself. It'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. As someone who's made similar jokes about their last artistic project, it very well may have been my last. But who knows? But yeah, don't doom yourself. Stay positive.
Yeah.
Stay optimistic. Not cocky, but stay optimistic.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay on top of this wave of creativity right now, and I'm just like, Kevin and I are just like, what are we doing next? And we're trying to figure it out just so we can not lose it and get too settled into this. And
can't force it though either. Can't force.
Yeah. It's such a fine line to try to get, but who knows? Or maybe Rough Pants works out and we just make it for real.
I think I don't know if it goes straight from Rough Pants to make it, but you never know with there's always your lottery chance with the algorithms. Speaking of algorithms, speaking of the algorithm.
Oh my God.
The boy, let's talk about Christopher Nolan. That's a great segue. So what is your personal experience with him as a filmmaker? Because I think a lot of people, whether they know it or not, have probably seen several, at least, at least like 4 Christopher Nolan films. He's kind of like he's one of those, like a Spielberg or something. Like, you've seen his movies without even knowing you've seen his movies. And, but there's definitely a marked style to all of his stuff. Yeah. So, what's your relationship with Christ Nolan?
Well, I didn't really start noticing him as like what he was until Batman Begins. I remember the first time I watched Batman Begins. I think it was the last Canadian trip we did for the Hornets that I was on. We watched it there, and then the subsequent Batman movies. But then that gets you into The Dark Knight is really what made me look at like Christopher Nolan and like the stuff he did.
The Hornets was our Pee Wee football team.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. We played football when we were kids. But in college we watched Memento, and that is really what was like, holy shit, because I just knew him as a comic book movie director because of the Batman movies, and Memento is just so good and so amazing, and then it just made you want to like get into watching this other stuff. And like obviously Inception came later. I think I was in college when Inception came out still. And that also was just kind of like, that was the big mindfuck movie that everybody just had to talk about. And I remember watching it with Chris Miller and who's my roommate, and we had to pause the movie every 15 minutes. What the fuck just happened? What the fuck did he just do? What is, and like, it's so like, and that's kind of like, oh, this is Christopher Nolan's thing. It's just constantly confusing the audience, but sometimes
it's challenging. I think Inception. Yeah. I think Inception probably at this point is we're gonna keep throwing around magnum opus. At this point in his career, I would say Inception is that peak. My first experience, obviously, I think chronologically, Batman Begins is the first of his that I've seen, because I didn't realize it came out before The Prestige, but I remember.
Oh, The Prestige is so good.
I remember the first time I saw The Prestige. I don't remember there was another magician movie that came out at the same time.
The Illusionist.
The Illusionist. And I remember we watched them in the same weekend together, and they're both really good, but this one was way better. Just fucking loved that movie, and it was burned in my brain, like the performances, and it was long, but it was really good and interesting. And it was probably, I would say, one of my earliest experiences with a not an indie movie, but more like a slower narrative-driven film that is outside of like especially artistic, very creative and meticulously crafted. Like, this kind of movie is my first real experience, really, really having an impact of it outside of the teen boy movies like Tarantino stuff or whatever.
It's wild because at the time, I remember The Illusionist had a lot more marketing going on, and a lot more talk about than The Prestige. The Prestige was kind of a lower budget, like a smaller thing.
It was like the verses. It was there was a verses in the two movies. Like everyone was watching them both and giving their take on them both. Yeah, it was like There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men. You're right. It's exactly like that. People would pair movies, and I don't know if it was like it happened more than that, but I just remember with those two movies that everyone paired them together, and everyone would watch them and be like, "Man, they're both great. Which one did you like better?" With these two, they happen to both be about magicians. And they are, and to this Rotten Tomatoes, Illusionist is 73%. I haven't looked it up on Letterboxd, but I remember it being good. I just remember that The Prestige has stuck with me to this day. I don't remember what The Illusionist is about. I remember what Prestige is about, and I've only seen it probably maybe once or twice. And it's such a really, 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 really good movie. So that is, I think, The Prestige. I have a hold high in just my journey with film. Obviously, the Dark Knight trilogy, beyond Batman Begins. I hated Dark Knight Rises. That's probably another reason why I would consider Inception his peak. Just looking at it, his filmography in front of me, Inception is perfect. I realized you're about to make a Bane joke.
You don't like Bane.
I don't like Bane. That sounded like a. Not saying that it was racist, but it sounded kind of like a white person doing an Indian accent a little bit.
Oh no, I'm just losing my voice.
I know. And that's why it's funny.
I was raised in the darkness.
That's why it was funny. That was why it was funny. But yeah, I think Dark Knight Rises was mediocre. But Inception is
shot
great.
in Pittsburgh.
Inception is perfect. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's just I remember that there was a point where I would just put it on in the background, and just like muted and just for the visuals of people floating around fighting each other. It's a great movie. So and then Dunkirk. I forgot to mention Dunkirk is also. I've not seen Interstellar, so that's why I moved past it. Dunkirk, I really loved. As just a straightforward. It was nice to see him do a film that was more straightforward, period piece, a war movie, and it was very easy to watch and get. I really enjoyed Dunkirk a lot, so that's why I was incredibly excited for Tenet. I never saw Memento, so this is my first time seeing Memento for this podcast. But Tenet, I was like hyped. I remember if it was before, I don't remember, like they were showing previews for this movie years ago before it actually came out because they held it for so long because of COVID. And I remember seeing these previews and they would show like extended scenes. So the whole opening of the movie, movie, they showed that. From the very beginning to the explosion, and then they just cut it as they're like running back to the vans. We don't see John David Washington get captured. But I was hyped. I was like, this is fucking tight. Sign me up. And now that I've seen it, that's probably the best part of the whole movie.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's elements of like the little war thing at the end that are like just cool cinematically, but it's just such a clusterfuck in the grand scheme of the whole movie.
It's like a short film, an excellent short film, and like all these some of the action set pieces, I don't like them as much as that one, but they are still cool. I think at that point I don't care as much. I cared in the beginning. I wanted to like the movie, so I'm just like, let's fucking go, and then the movie just keeps going and kind of is a big ol' grand old nothing movie to me.
Well, I was gonna ask, do you think that this movie suffers from the James Bond travel porn effect, where it's just beautiful location hopping?
So there's elements of that. There's definitely they go back to the same locations a couple times, like a good few times. Though it's not like we're even all over the world because spoilers. I think we already spoiled something, but that there are scenes later that we experience backwards that we experience earlier in the movie forwards, and that is the whole gimmick, if you want to call it that, of the movie is the forward backward shit. That it is nebulous and vague as fuck, and that's also why it doesn't work for me. A cool idea. There is a awesome premise. There is a cool movie that could have been made, but it did not get made. Sometimes I say that there's a good movie in the editing room. There's a great movie in the editing room. I don't think that with this. I don't think. I think this is script fails.
A writing catastrophe. Yep.
Script fails. Beyond that, Christopher Nolan's. It's got really good cinematography. I like some of the sets. I like some of the locations. There's beautiful things. Super rich boy shit. And I guess that's the James Bond thing you're talking about. There is a James Bond influence on this film. Absolutely. I see that. It's trying to go for a postmodern James Bond. Right. I think that's what I would describe this film as in a phrase.
For sure. 100%. Like the use of just expensive big things, and then just like Christopher Nolan likes to shoot on IMAX, so everything is just big, expansive, and expensive in this movie.
This movie looks so much expensive. This movie is incredibly expensive.
It looks so much, and that which also is probably why he was so adamant about this had to be in theaters to try to recoup some of the costs.
Oh,
Um,
well, I got fucked on that. They just like didn't want to hold it any longer.
yeah,
I saw that this is his highest budgeted film with an original idea, so I don't think that includes
Batman.
Batman's. But other
Yeah.
than the Batman's, it is his highest budgeted film, and I feel bad because it's a stink boy. It's a big old stink boy.
Yeah, I was going through some of the letterbox scores before we started, and just the people who liked it, I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, apparently, everything just went over your head, and it was just like you Michael Bay'd it. Like, it was cool and pretty and explosions and actions, and that's enough to hold me over.
So
Um,
last night I watched some reviews and podcasts. I watched Brian Kermode, the BBC reviewer. He's a fucking Chris Nolan stan, and he is like, he praised a bunch of shit that we probably would praise, like the cinematography and da 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 da.
mm,
But then he was like, I don't think I understood it, and he's like, and then it raises the question: is it a narrative failing? Like, does the narrative fail by you needing to watch it more than once to even understand it? However, I would push further than that and say that you can't understand it on multiple watches. I don't.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that this is after I watched this for the first time. I watched this with my friend Evan, and hour and a half in, we saw there's an hour left, and my jaw dropped just because it just felt long. But then after it was over, I was like, "This sucked," and he was just like, "No, no, 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 no! You need to watch a 30-minute video on YouTube to understand it, and then you're gonna love it." And I was like, "No." Get that shit out of here. That's not if you have to do that. There's certain movies I do that just because I
like it
you know,
already, and I want to explore it
Yeah.
further. That's
Exactly.
that's what makes that
But-
shit good.
But because hold on, but real quick, because especially since we're doing Memento, Memento is a movie that definitely needs more than one watch, but it is so rewarding with each watch.
I
where
understood
this-
it mostly though.
Yes, like the rewatching is just to be like, oh man, so I now
I
noticed
missed
that
that.
from before.
I missed that.
And
I
this
watched
is a
only the
rewatch.
beginning over. Sorry.
And
yeah.
what I was gonna say was like when 95% of your dialogue in this movie is exposition trying to explain things enough for the audience, but then gloss over all of the stuff that makes you go, wait, how does that make sense? Wait, why wouldn't they just do this? Why wouldn't they just do that? Like the stuff with Arpad at the end of the movie when he's essentially choosing to well, I guess it would create a paradox if you didn't, but we'll get to that in the end. I don't know. It's just so convoluted. None of it.
Even in its core, it's all like everything's need to know. It's all
Yeah.
need to know. You only get what you need to know. So,
Which is like the whole movie could have gone so much smoother if they from the get go would have filled this motherfucker in.
well, because
Like,
half of it is him trying to discover what they could have already told him.
exactly, like half an hour of the movie could have been saved in a phone
All
call or
of
in a
the Mumbai
conversation.
shit. All the
Yeah.
Mumbai shit at the very least.
Especially when you find out the twist at the end, like, which I don't know if we want to go spoilers or not already, but like the I'm gonna not say it yet, but yeah, like it's just fucked. It's fucked. It's it's so dumb.
Yeah, I got bored with this movie so fast because I didn't care. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into action set pieces, you could probably just watch this and cut out the exposition points in between and be interested. But for me, who needs a good narrative along with sick action, I can't just do like I can't just do action for action's sake. At least at this point in my life, and it doesn't work, and you're relying on exposition like you said, and then it's like, but it's only enough exposition to keep the story going and give you your next quest. It feels like a video. It's very much a video game plot.
Yes, I have that written down here. This is a fetch quest movie.
Yeah, it's a video game plot, and then like it does. Of course, it does the Marvel MacGuffin shit, but it's beyond even that, where it's just like. It's kind of like the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker thing. But this movie's better than that. That movie is dog shit. But
there's no redeeming quality of that movie.
No, that movie's shit. It could have been cool, but not at all. it's just like go here to find out a little information, and then go here to find out more information, go here to find out more information, and then it becomes all about saving the wife of Kenneth Branagh, Russian Kenneth Branagh.
Is that who that was?
Oh my God, you didn't know that was Kenneth Branagh?
Wow, he looks old. Because I just
mean,
watched
he
interviews.
He is old. He is old.
So like I watched a bunch of interviews for Belfast, and he doesn't look like this. He looks a lot.
I feel like he looks
younger.
Honestly,
better.
he looks like Kenneth Branagh to me. He looks like a man in his late 50s.
Wow,
which is younger than he is. Man, you never look at the casts. You never look at the casts.
I go in blind.
That's fine, but afterwards, look at the cast. Because you might find these surprises. I enjoy surprising you with these people. I think you might. I have really. So this is something that Riss has put me onto, is that I have really, really good face, detection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at spotting faces and voices. I'm good at both.
Yeah.
But so you must have people have that face blindness shit where they can't tell people apart from just by looking at them. They have to be told who they are, or they have to read it or whatever. So I'm not saying you have face blindness. I'm not saying you have face blindness.
Hold on,
you might have a little bit.
Now saying that it is Kenneth Branagh, I see it. I 100% see it. But in the moment, never thought of it. Didn't think one thing about it. I was like, wow, this guy's like Russian best, but he's like, I don't mind him. But being Kenneth Branagh, that now makes me, why didn't they just go with an actual Russian guy?
I thought the same thing, and it's obviously Kenneth Branagh is also in Dunkirk, and I think Christopher Nolan just likes him. Yeah, I think that he's just a fan of Kenneth Branagh and wanted to put him in his movies. I thought the same thing. This would be better with a real Russian, but Kenneth Branagh was fine. I thought he was going to be hammier. I thought he was going to be more mustache twirling, but he wasn't. He was fine. He is not the reason why the movie sucks, though I wonder why. I feel like the Russian villain is very cliched. That honestly was my issue more beyond. It had nothing to do with the casting of the performance. It was that Russian villain feels very Bond. And
I think it's I think it's to feel Bond, but also to have the whole plot thing of just how they were able to send some dude, his future self, send him shit. In the post nuclear test site area where there's no one gonna be there or whatever. Like it was all just kind of like, well, it has to be because of this. But although I guess you could have changed that to be anywhere. You could desert, but in the middle of nowhere in any country, it didn't have to be Russian. So yeah, you're right.
I don't know. It is a mess. It's a mess. So while we're talking about the cast, I think it's good to go. Like, let's talk about all of it. So what did you think about John David Washington? Because you haven't really seen him in anything, and I've seen him in Black Klansman, which you've talked about wanting to see like 1,000.
I've been dying to see. Yeah, but I thought he was fine. I mean, I
don't think he's the reason why it fails.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, he's not very intimidating in the first half of the movie. But then I more like respect his character's like ability to kind of adapt to the fact that everyone's kind of fucking him with not giving him enough information, and he's just kind of rolling with it and doing what he can.
I like him, but I don't know if I think he's a great actor, if that makes sense. I think he's got I think he's got a likable face and a likable vibe, and his charisma. But he doesn't have. Yes. But he doesn't have a lot of charisma in this film. He's very much like this movie. Everybody's very clinical and dry. It's Christopher Nolan style. And I think that's on the direction more than the performances. But I've seen him in Black Klansman, and I thought that same thing. Like I was like, I like you. And I like seeing you in this movie, but I don't know if I necessarily think that your acting is that good.
For me, when he first meets Kenneth Branagh on the boat, I just kept thinking, man, his delivery sounds like Ice-T from Law and Order. It's just kind of like
the same,
just
thing.
Flat, yeah, and just like, what? So you're telling me that there's plutonium in the ocean, or whatever? But it's I don't know. It's very much like
I know what you mean. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I will say Robert Pattinson's probably the best thing acting-wise about this movie. He's got like a posh accent he's kind of giving.
Mm.
and I love it. It's so he sounds like regal kind of. He's
Yeah.
like without saying like cliche things like old boy or something like that. But man, I really liked him in the movie. Don't understand how the meeting, like they met. I don't understand how he got incorporated into the film. And
Mm.
John David Washington just trusted him for this first job, and then he actually knew way more. Robert Pattinson knew more about everything than he let
Mm.
on, and I hated all that. That was the
Yep.
beginning of me losing the plot. Was Robert
Mm.
Pattinson, like, he's not a member of Tenet. But he is actually.
Yeah.
He's not, but he is. But he's pretending like he's not. Then how? Then why is he involved in this secret ass mission to begin with?
Mm.
Like I didn't like. Do you know?
No, I don't like he's sent if you're all right to spoil it, then I'm gonna
Yeah,
spoil it.
no, we spoil. I think we said
Okay.
spoilers right in the beginning.
I don't think we did because I've been
Yeah, we
holding off the
did.
ending
We
stuff.
did. We did. You keep
Okay.
talking about not. I thought we were just gonna wait the ending until we talk about the ending.
Gotcha. Well, this is from the ending, but you
All right,
find out
that's
that
fine.
that Robert Pattinson's boss is John David Washington in the future.
Yeah,
And so
yeah, that's looper shit.
yeah, so he was sent. So he went in reverse all the way back to get to this point, and it's just like, man, you could have literally just said, "Hey, you in the future is setting up this whole thing, and this is Inception style. It's a temporal pincer within a temporal pincer
Oh my
within a
god,
temporal pincer."
I saw
And it's
reviews
just
say
like,
they love the temporal pincer line, and
oh,
I didn't like it.
oh, it's so bad.
That
It's
when
so, 'cause
Ives,
it was three levels of it at the end of it.
the character of Ives is introduced, I'm just like, you're just a background guy. You're either gonna never come back or you're gonna get killed. And he doesn't. He lives. He's in the rest of the movie, and he lives. And he's just there to provide exposition because he's from the future team or whatever. Or he's been a member of this team for the longest. So he like tells everybody, and he's about everything. And then there's like the science exposition girl. Her name's Wheeler, I learned, because they shouted it at the end. But I honestly didn't know she was an important enough character to remember until they were screaming her name at the end of the movie. Wheeler! And I'm like, why are you screaming her name? She's alive. Everyone's okay.
Wait, we're talking about the doctor who was in the beginning teaching John David Washington about the
Oh my
inverted
god,
bullets?
she's the doctor?
No, that's what I'm asking.
I don't know because she had a helmet. She had military gear on from Ives point on. She's in military fatigues.
Yeah,
And
so I'm like, no, I think that's because the doctor was blonde in the beginning.
Yeah, the girl I'm talking about has brown hair.
Yeah, so they're not the same. Okay, when you said
because that would have fucking
okay.
pissed me off even more if that were the case.
Yeah,
But yeah, so just like shit like that bothered me. The female characters are terribly written. Are there only there to advance the plot? Yeah, if we want to talk
would
about
even say
her,
not even to advance the plot, but to get in the way of the plot. Like if this is his whole job and he's CIA and all this shit, he would not have gave a fuck about this lady and her kid because they're not pertaining to the mission. And instead,
especially when you're trying to save like all of time.
The world, yeah, like, and you're just like, it's the whole like, oh, I gotta save this one person, but you know, it's jeopardizing destroying the planet. But it's like, why
even then,
you wouldn't do that?
Even if he fell in love with somebody, and that's a cliche ass thing, Bond ass trope. At least make her better written. And like they try to give her moment when she kills Kenneth Branagh in the end. But it like adds more tension to the plot at the to the stakes at the very end out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very good. I liked the moment. I liked when she killed Kenneth Branagh. That was probably one of my favorite moments. But overall, her character was terribly written, and there's just no real good female characters in this. There's not a lot of good characters, period, though. Like even John David Washington doesn't get a name. He's just the protagonist. Which at first I didn't hate, and then as it went on and they kept saying it, he would like look at the camera and be like, "I'm the protagonist," and I just like, God damn, fucking roll my eyes.
I was waiting for him to just look at the camera, wink, and go, "What are we, Tenet?"
Well, yeah.
Suicide Squad reference. Pull a Will
But
Smith on
essentially
me.
what it is with the the protagonist thing. And then they started referring to the antagonists as the bad guys. And so, all right. So here's the time where I'm quizzing you.
Oh God.
Tell me what happened. You've seen this movie more than once, so you are
Twice now,
officially
yeah.
the resident expert, Tenet expert. So I need you to tell me what the fuck was the plot. What was happening with the future shit, with the Tenet group, and with Kenneth Branagh, who you didn't know was Kenneth Branagh. Volkov was his name, the character's name.
I don't even fucking remember.
It's something. It's generic. Some generic Russian name. I might.
I thought it was like. I thought it was Sarnoff or something.
Sater. That's
Sater.
It.
Okay.
But I think it's Volkov. Might have been his first name. I don't remember.
Who cares? But the plot of this movie that I've gathered is generations in the future. Someone has invented a way. This lady doctor, a way to inverse time, and then kills herself. Like, it separates it into 9 things, sends it into the past or whatever, and labels them as plutonium-241, kills herself so that no one else can recreate it.
Wait, what does the algorithm do? I already lost you. What does that fucking algorithm do?
So the algorithm, it is a machine that is able to...
It's not even a program. It's a machine.
Yeah. Yeah,
I thought algorithms were programs. Like formulas, like math formulas.
Yeah, so that little stick thing that they put together.
I know what it is. I know what it is, but I'm trying to understand why they chose to use the word algorithm. Other than it being a fad, buzzword. Other than buzzword, why did they do that?
Who knows? But apparently, they had the ability to inverse time for individuals, but this algorithm can inverse time for the whole world or some shit, is what I gathered. And so she's like, all right, I'm going to break it up, send it to the past in 9 different locations, and kill myself. And I guess somebody in the future is like, wants to regather that. And so they chose, the future people chose Kenneth Branagh to be their little whatever to put it all together. And that's essentially what his character's been doing, is gathering all of the Infinity Stones, essentially. And I guess they know he's gonna die, so because he has like pancreatic cancer, so he's just gonna kill himself. And it's all rigged that when he kills himself, the algorithm triggered once it's all completed, and
it destroys all the time.
Yeah, and it'll just ruin it. It's the whole "if I can't have her, no one can" thing that they were playing off at the beginning when why he wouldn't let his wife go.
And I got in the end that the reason why the future wanted to destroy the past is because because of climate change and pollution, which they don't outrightly say, but it is definitely what they're talking about. We have ruined the planet for the future, so the future is pissed, and they want to fuck us up from the future. They want to send shit back to blow up the past. Ages. And send shit back to the past and blow it up to save the future world. And
but the good guys think it's just going to end the world. The
good guys just think it's going to end the world, which I did not understand because I was confused. Like, they keep saying it's going to end the world. Is it ending the world, or is it just reversing time?
Yeah, and if this already happened, how is all of this still aligned? But then Robert Pattinson talks about parallel universe theory at one point for like literally 10 seconds, and then glosses over and goes to bed.
Oh, they randomly say a bunch of random science theories to try to explain what's happening, and it doesn't build to anything.
Yeah,
it's not.
And I imagine, like, because with Inception, while I have not seen it, I've seen them, like, a lot of behind the scenes for it, and they went with, like, insane space physicists and scientists to figure out the black hole thing and all the relative time and all that stuff. But in this, it just felt like, we don't need anybody. We figured it out in Inception how time works, so we're just going to fucking do it. And it's just, like, I don't know. I didn't also, and I know this is kind of a sidetrack, I didn't like that just, like, things would be fine 1 second, and then the next minute they would be like the car or mirror being destroyed. It doesn't look like in the chase scene when they're trying to box in the armored car to steal the plutonium.
Yeah.
the car didn't really like it didn't really have any damage, but then they made a point to show like, oh, now it's broken, the side view mirror, and then you see why it's broken or whatever. But like um like the body of Robert Pattinson at the end being on the other side of the thing, I feel like it wasn't there then it was because our Pat
Oh my
decided to
god,
change
the
his
editing
mind.
sucks
And then
dick in some of
yeah,
these parts.
it's so hard to follow.
The backwards shit, I think that's why it fails as a gimmick, because I can't follow what's happening because of the way it's edited. I can't see how the punches are hitting because it's all happening backwards. I
Yeah.
can't see and like that whole sequence at the end with the fence and the guy's got a gun and we see somebody running away, but then nobody's run away.
Our Pat like goes from being dead to alive in reverse in that sequence, and then that's why at the end he's like, well, I gotta go.
Oh my god, I didn't even understand that that's what happened.
So our Pat at the end was just like, well, I have to go kill myself now because I saved you, and if I don't do this, well, he didn't say this, but like essentially, if I don't do this, all this is gonna get undone. But it never really felt like anything in the past affected the future in this movie.
It doesn't. It's inconsistent. Consistency is a problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hated
like
even the whole ending. That was supposed to be this giant cool battle. You don't see anyone, any of the enemy troops. Do you realize that?
Yes, I have it written down. Who are the enemy troops? Because it does not say. Did the Russian guy have an army like just waiting here? Like he had a full army with missiles and tanks and shit, all just hiding out at this place ready. I guess
the one helicopter, and like there's a few times that we are seeing characters shoot at other people, and we find out that was Robert Pattinson. We find out that Humvee that they were shooting at had Robert Pattinson in it. We find out that one soldier like beeping at John David Washington was Robert Pattinson. Like it was
a temporal pincer.
I thought Ives was gonna die, but then it was like, no, Robert Pattinson's gonna die. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine because he was the coolest character in the movie, so I get why they killed him. But the whole the ending battle could have been way cooler, but I was confused about what was happening.
Who are they fighting? Where was this
who are
army
they fighting?
come from?
Then you got the half of them are going backwards, and the other half are going forwards, and I just don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I don't know why. You know, they said that this has to happen, but I don't know why it has to happen. Because backwards bullets are so they're that's all you need to know is the temporal pincer.
That's so they can use that line 3 times. There's 3. There's the one
I thought you
between
just said it
the
once.
Russians. No, they mentioned it 3 separate times. They're the one with the robbing the plutonium in whatever country with the all the cars boxing in the armored vehicle, and then you have this operation like the war thing, and at the end Robert Pattinson's like, motherfucker, this whole thing is a temporal pincer, like macro style, and I'm just like,
all of the universe is a temporal pincer.
That's really what it is. Apparently.
Yeah.
And John David Washington's controlling the strings of this temporal pincer from fucking the 1,000 years in the future.
I hope this doesn't hurt John David Washington's career, because I would like to see him in more things before I, give him a rating as an actor. Only seeing these 2 films, but I like him a lot, and that's why I want him to do well. I think I'm ready to stop talking about this movie because
I'm down.
Michael Caine's 1,000 years old and he's in it.
Yeah,
he looks like a good living corpse, and I felt bad about it because I like him. It's just hard to see people you like get really old, and it was like it's like Stan Lee, Stan Lee who thought he was like the Betty White of this shit.
Yeah.
But all right, what are you giving Tenet?
Man, my heart says 2, but my brain says 2.5, just because the cinematography is really good, and it is the set design is really good. I like all the production design. I like there are cool sequences in here besides the opening sequence, which is awesome. the opening sequence is very much
Perfect.
akin to the Dark Knight opening sequence.
Yeah,
With
yes.
Meg
I
Roberts.
think which is one of the great opening sequences of movies. This movie, I forgot to compare it, but this movie reminded me of Heat. I don't know why. I think Christopher Nolan's action scenes remind me of the big one in Heat. Like now
yeah.
and I think that this has a bunch of those kind of sequences. But Heat's a better movie, unfortunately for this.
As bored as I was during Heat, in between the
It has a
action sequences,
narrative.
at least, all of that stuff had purpose for being
There's
in
some
there.
emotional weight at the end of the film, and this is nothing. I gave it a 2.5. Also, it's not the worst film I ever saw. The action can get you far. It's just if I had to see this in a theater, I think I would have been a lot more bored. I don't think a lot. I think we've been talking about this recently, but I've been we've been going to the theater more for this podcast than we maybe ever have, it really sucks to be stuck in a movie theater for a movie you don't want to see.
Yeah.
And being at home for it makes it much more easy to manage, You can chunk it. You can watch it in chunks. You can, God forbid, you look at your phone or something, or you can read about the production while you're watching. But when you're just glued in your seat and this is the only thing you can watch, I don't know if I would feel... I feel like I could possibly have rated it lower, but I'm sticking to a 2.5.
I'm giving it's just I would give it a 2. I really just don't like this movie, and I don't want to watch it ever again. But
I feel like I could watch
break
it
it down,
but not only half watching.
Now seeing it twice, I don't ever want to watch it again.
Yeah, I can see that. I realized I've only seen it once. I want to see if I could glean anything else out of it, but I also realized that part of my issue with not understanding was not wanting to engage with it at a certain point because I was already over it.
The only way to enjoy this movie is to attack it with a temporal pincer.
I honestly already had questions and issues when the suicide pill was actually just a coma, like a fake death pill. And
Romeo and Juliet thing.
And they asked him why, the boss was like, it's a test. So why all this was a test, my belief is requiring suspension.
Yeah, I don't even know what they were. I don't know who the real bad guys were in that opening sequence too. Just because they are, I thought that they were coming in with the real police just to extract the one guy and let the police deal with the terrorists. But then the police are also going after them, and then they end up getting taken by Russians, and it just didn't make sense. And Robert Pattinson's in that scene in the opening, he saves with a inverse reverse bullet, saves John David Washington in the beginning.
Yes. I figured out that was probably him.
Oh
my god, there's another thing I forgot to rip on. So in the ending fights, the ending big battle, everyone's got gas masks on, right? Some of in certain shots, their gas masks are lit up, and certain CG lit up, and some of their gas masks are not. They're just regular, clear. You can see them if you can see them,
Yeah.
So
I wonder why.
My theory is that they just CG'd in Robert Pattinson or whoever's face they wanted over some of those people, and it looks bad. It just you can tell, and it doesn't look good at all. Because you would either have to have all their faces lit up all the time, or why is it randomly people's faces are lit up? And unless they have maybe they have some switch in the helmet that turns on a light, but why would they be turning it on and off throughout the battle? It's not dark. It's the middle of the day.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Just
chalk it up, add it to the list of things that don't make sense.
I think it was post. I think they tried to fix some things with shots in post, and they thought it looked fine, and it didn't look fine. It looks noticeable. I mean, you didn't notice it, but I did. But yeah. All right, fuck this movie. Let's talk about Memento. Let's talk about a fucking great movie.
Yeah, which is crazy to see. I see the through line from Memento 2 here, because Memento is only film, but it has the Christopher Nolan.
He
like,
plays with time.
library.
He loves playing with time.
Yeah,
How many movies of his deal with time? At the very least, this Memento, Tenet, and Inception,
Interstellar
and
and Interstellar.
Yeah, the dude
Um,
loves time. As someone who gets spooked out by the fathoming time passing, I can feel that. This movie. So, couple things watching this movie before we delve into nuts and bolts. I didn't think I was going to like it at first, just by Guy
Really?
Pearce. I did. I'm not. I wasn't sure how I thought about Guy Pearce at first, and just the vibe of it. I wasn't. It needed to settle in for me a little bit, and then I was like, no, this is dope. Because I was trying to say, is this up its ass? Like, is this up its ass? And I realized I did realize that it's not. It's just really, really well crafted. Whereas Tenet is up its ass and not good, and indulgent. The 2.5 hour movie trend has to stop.
Agreed.
And that is a problem. That is a problem with modern movies.
Yeah, that needs to be saved for epics exclusively. Like if you have like your Avengers 20 movies to get to this point. Yeah, I'll take a 3 hour, 3.
I don't.
Sure.
It has to be earned, and everyone's just doing it to do it, and that is a problem. When you make 2.5 hours the standard runtime, it makes people. I think it makes the films more challenging, and you have to have it's harder to pace and harder to keep engaging. And I think too many directors think it needs that runtime to fully flesh something out. And either sometimes it don't, or sometimes you're just taking on too big of a narrative to fit in one film.
But hey, do you know, speaking of overindulgence, do you know who is one of Christopher Nolan's closest buddies? Zack Snyder.
I heard that, but
they're good friends apparently. They
love each other. I would love to know more about the nuts and bolts of that, because I've read that too. They send each other their movies like for notes, and stuff like that.
They hang out and shit. But
Guy Pearce. I just want to finish what I was saying. I wasn't crazy about Guy Pearce, and this movie has a vibe. And there is an era of films from the late 90s and early 2000s, I would say, that this fits into. It reminds me of Fight Club. It reminds me of Requiem for a Dream. It reminds me of The Matrix, the first The Matrix, just because there's a couple actors from The Matrix in it. But it's just like the coloring and the texture, and like everything's like dirty and green. Like there's a lot of greens in all those films. There is an era, that is an aesthetic of film, and I'm sure someone that knows more about movies has a name for it or something. But do you know what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
All these 100%. Movies have that vibe, have this look to them and vibe to them.
I think Memento's a little bit more orange, not just from the poster, but just like all of the daytime stuff. It has that like Southern California like heat, warm feel to it. But not engaging, but it's the dark stuff.
But his suit is green. The Jaguar is dark green. There's a lot of greens. Also, oranges I think is a part of the. It's like an umber kind of orange. Like there's darker oranges.
Yeah,
I think all these movies do that too.
This is the era right before teal and orange became like the staple of every big movie. Like, cause once from Transformers on hit, teal and orange is fucking every action movie from like the 2010 era or like 2008 or whatever on Transformers, where there was just like
that's like 10 years after
of that era. Look. But this look lasted a lot through the late 90s into the early 2000s. So it's kind of like I feel like a transition of like color text, because you didn't even start getting like intense color grading until Oh Brother.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It's and even Requiem for a Dream is probably more blues. But there's just something about the way that these movies, the shot composition is, the color thing is, the tech. There's a grit and texture to them, but it's more. It doesn't look like early '90s films. It's more. The cameras are better. I don't know. I would be interested in compiling more films around this era that fit to this aesthetic. It's definitely like an edgy. All these films are edgy, and dark to varying degrees, but definitely all dark and all have this edge and dirt. There's like a unclean look, not grimy, but things don't feel clean. David Lynch has this vibe, I think, in like Blue Velvet and Lost Highway. Lost Highway, I would say, is a part of this vibe because isn't that late 90s?
I can see that.
It's like 97.
Yeah, it's 96, 97.
I would say Lost Highway fits with these films also.
Because we're getting into an era where, in this part, where we're still shooting film, but you have some stuff that looks super clean and ahead, but you have the filmmakers that still like the gritty texture of older film stocks and stuff. And so you have a lot of these movies. Like The Matrix is probably shot with like a very similar camera to this movie, but it's using a little bit of a cleaner film stock. But when you go to... It was very much an aesthetic choice at the time, and still is today. It's why a lot of people choose to shoot film. Tarantino specifically, they like that texture grit that adds onto the shot. The only difference now is we have extremely sharp modern lenses to be paired with it.
Even Gummo, like Gummo does not look like these films, like in terms of how
but it has that film texture a lot.
It has the vibe. It has a similar vibe to the reason. What sparked me to think about this is I saw that originally Christopher Nolan wanted Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was initially slated to play Leonard, but passed due to scheduling conflicts. And I thought that was like the blonde hair. He literally looks like Tyler Durden.
I was gonna say it's like too Fight Clubby.
He looks like Tyler Durden already. Guy Pearce's vibe is very similar. And look is very similar to Brad Pitt's. Apparently, other actors considered were Aaron Eckhart, who was later in The Dark Knight, and Thomas Jane. Guy Pearce, I don't have a lot of experience with Guy Pearce. I saw a movie that he was in, an A24 movie called The Rover with Robert Pattinson from a few years ago, and I hated it. So I don't have a ton. I know he's been in other movies I've seen, but he kind of never stands out to me.
You're telling me that Guy Pearce in his super old man makeup from Prometheus didn't give you Oscar vibes?
I honestly didn't. I forgot that was him. Forgot he was in Iron. I forgot he was in Iron Man 3, and I remember now that he's in that. Just looking at his,
he's not great. No.
Just looking at he's worked a fuckload, and he's done a ton of movies. But I haven't seen a ton, and the ones I've seen I have not liked. So this was good. This was the best he's ever done. I will say my biggest issue with, and like this is the only critique of his performance, was that his accent is inconsistent, and I can tell that he is not a native American English speaker. I can hear I think he's Australian, I believe, and I can hear it come out in some of his vowel sounds. It doesn't bother me because if you live in America, you can have any accent. It's not like that kills my immersion or anything. But if that was like literally it's one of my few critiques of the film. I really, really liked it. So what do you want to get into with Memento?
Well, do you want to finish? Do you want to continue with casting? Or you want to move on to actual like the structure?
You can if you want to talk about anything. I want to at least talk about Guy Pearce. Everybody else is kind of just an orbiting around his central performance. Carrie-Anne Moss is great.
Yeah.
Also.
I'd say I like Guy Pearce in this movie a lot. I think by the middle of it, when you're really like sold on his condition, I think it plays well. I think it reads well. I think he does. I think it's real hard to get shock and surprise subtlety, and to do it literally every scene. You have to do it like every 10 minutes, and I thought that sold very well. And I love Cypher in this movie. I think he's a really good pairing. I think he's honestly like the perfect casting for that.
Did you just call him Cypher?
Yeah.
What's the name of the actor?
Well, it's Joe Pantoliano.
Joey Pants.
But doesn't he play Cypher in
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
The Matrix?
Yeah, I just want to make for the fans at home that they know what his name is. Joey. I always remember him on Red Letter Media because Red Letter Media always calls him Joey Pants. He did some really bad movie that was on Best of the Worst, and they just call him Joey Pants the whole time. But yeah, he's good. He's a great asshole actor. He's in Sopranos too. And yeah, he's obviously Cypher in The Matrix. That was the first time I ever saw him in anything, was as
Same.
Cypher. But
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
thought he did
he's
good, though,
good.
in
Yeah,
this.
no, he's good because you are supposed to think he is the bad guy. And you do for the majority of the film. And then it's slow. After about the hour mark, there's a scene with Carrie-Anne Moss, and you start to realize that it's probably like hour 10, hour 15 maybe, and you start to realize that she is that Joey Pants actually is looking out for you and is trying to help you, and you can't kind of get out of your own way. And
but Joey Pants also is still kind of the bad guy at the
oh
end.
yeah, that's right.
in a
He
way.
is because he's using.
Like, they're all manipulating him.
Yeah, that's true. He's the least bad, but yeah, you're right. I didn't. He didn't deserve to be murdered, possibly, but who does?
Yeah.
A lot of people get murdered for unknown reasons in this movie. This movie isn't fully easy to understand. I was having problems around the point with Jimmy Grant's, like the point where Guy Pearce kills him. But then afterwards is when we start finding out more shit about Joey Pants and Guy Pearce's relationship. And that kind of keeps you going. But yeah, in the beginning, you just don't know anything, and you're kind of just drifting around through the film, and you just learn every scene. So at first, I didn't understand the pace with why certain scenes are longer, some are really short, and it's because they are literally broken up into these moments that he remembers, and then his memory resets again, and like you're experiencing what he's experiencing, and then when it resets, it's a new scene, and it goes back and forth. Which this is the most genius part I think of the film, is that there are scenes in color which go the narrative chronologically backwards. And then there are black and white scenes that are cut between all of the colored ones, and they go back to front, the normal way. And but then in the end they kind of meet. Well, they don't meet, but they kind of meet.
Yeah. Oh no,
one's
they do.
going forward and one's going backwards, and that's when you understand the whole movie.
Did you notice the shift from black and white to color? The first two times I watched it, the first time I watched it in class, none of us noticed it. We just didn't. We was like, oh shit,
I noticed it
it's in color
immediately
now. And then
noticed
because it's over the course of like a minute, I think 60-second like slow ramp. And it was something that like our teacher pointed out, and it was just like, and the first time I watched it, it was just like, oh shit, we're in color. I didn't even think about it. But I like that transition to how you were caught up.
Well, cause it's shot like flashbacks.
Yeah.
And it does seem like flashbacks, and then so it's just like we're learning things about his past that he doesn't even probably remember, but it's like how he's got to this point that he's at now. And yeah, like you don't know how long ago it was. You realize after you learn about the hotel shit that he's in the same hotel place, so it could have been that long ago. And that's kind of where you start putting together this timeline of the two different timelines, and then you need to figure it out at some point. I'm sure different people figure it out at different points, but you realize they are coming together, and that is making this full loop. Completing the loop of the story. And you even learn about shit that happened before the flashbacks from Joey Pants at the end. But yeah.
Which is like, it's delivered in such a way that you don't know what is truth and what's not, because he tries gaslighting with the diabetes thing, which that is a false, but it's like, it could be believable, because when Guy Pearce in the black and white section is talking about Sammy, there's a quick frame flash of Guy Pearce sitting in the mental institution instead of Sammy. And then just like it happens real quick and moves on from it. It's like the whole movie's meant to fuck with you about who's telling the truth, who's not, who do you believe. But that's also how Guy Pearce is feeling the entire movie. And I think it does a really good job in just like simulating his feelings to existence for the audience to kind of like be a vessel for the audience to experience. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And when there are moments where we are experiencing like what he experiences. 'Cause we don't understand what's going on, and we are trying to pick up the pieces in this moment as fast as possible. And it's extremely difficult, and you're like tested over and over again. But we have the luck of remembering the scenes that we've seen previously, or we have the ability, the advantage of that he doesn't. Like I said, the Carrie-Anne Moss scenes about halfway through were when I realized that this movie is fucking great, and I was engaged through the end. Like, I could not look away until the very end. And then that made me watch the beginning again, because this movie necessitates multiple viewings. If I would have had time, I would have watched it again. But just watching the beginning again really helped me remember, put it all together. And basically, we learned that Guy Pearce is also a piece of shit. That that everyone is a piece of shits, and Guy Pearce has just found out who he was and what happened, and he solved the mystery. And we also find out that he is purposely trying to accept a false narrative of what happened, and then he's killing people. He's hunting a new person for revenge over and over again for like the rest of his life.
So the way I took it was that, like, I think the truth about Teddy and him, like, going around and doing this for the last year or so, I think that's true. And I don't blame Guy Pearce for that, because he's being manipulated by Teddy the whole time.
But then he chooses to accept that at the end.
Yeah, at the very end. But it's more of like, if you're going to you've just been using me this whole time to kill people for you, and then I'm just going to kill you and end, like, to kind of end this. So I find that he's not a total piece of shit.
But the cycle starts over, because he now does not know that he's killed the killer already of his wife. He finds out that his wife didn't die, and he killed her because of
so that's the thing. We don't know if that's true or not.
Even beyond that, though,
because he has his memories pre-incident. He knows that she's not actually diabetic. That was just like a gaslight thing that.
But no, they kept flashing. They kept flashing the memories of him giving her insulin.
Yeah, and then after, it reflashes with him pinching her leg, and it's like, no, she was not a diabetic. No, that's not what happened.
Okay. Regardless of that, he still chooses to reject, not like knowing that the killer was already killed. It's so that he's going to hunt the killer again and start this whole cycle again. That was my point.
Yeah, but because it's with the context of how that happens, where it's like, all right, well, if you're going to use me, then I'll make you my new John G. to Teddy at the very end of the movie. I took it as like, hopefully, like, if he can not be manipulated again after that, it's like, this is final one, because he's just getting revenge on being manipulated.
He still has all the tattoos and all the shit, like he has the file. He still has all the notes. It's not going to.
It's just a matter of whether, because we don't know what happens after killing Teddy, whether he chooses to write down.
He's choosing to manipulate himself, is what I feel like.
No. I mean, like, the end of the narrative, not the end of the movie. Sorry.
No,
like,
but he's taking control.
He kills Teddy, yes, but we don't see if he chooses to write down after killing Teddy in the beginning of the movie, whether or not he's going to say he did it or not. We don't know. And so he
literally thinks. He literally thinks. And then at the end, I'm gonna, I thought he verbally indicated that he's going to, just keep it going. Like, he didn't want it.
No,
he's like, I'm gonna make you the new John G, and then I'm gonna forget, and then I'm gonna look for the next John G. Because
so that was at the end of the movie, which takes place in the middle of the story. I'm talking about the end of the story, which is the first scene of the movie after he kills Teddy. Yeah, that's only the end of the movie is the middle of the story.
It's not but it's right before this last sequence. There's like nothing missing.
The end of the movie. No,
I know. All right, yeah. But
at the opening scene of the movie where he kills Teddy, that's the end of the story. Like but
they didn't show us anything from that. He didn't do anything besides kill Teddy.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know if he chose to say, all right, I'm done, or not.
It showed us nothing, and I'm saying the scene before indicated more about what he was going to do. That's what I'm saying.
But there was motivation for what he was doing to kill Teddy because of being used and manipulated. Now that all that's done, we don't know after killing Teddy what he's going to write down.
I
'Cause
think
they
there was more to
chose not to.
indicate that he's going to continue the shit than there is that he's not. Like I get like it being nebulous or it being up in the air. I think that probably makes the most sense. But I
Yeah.
personally feel that there is more to him, like choosing to reject his past completely and just supplanting his own reality and just continuing his life, feeling good. Being driven by this quest for vengeance that
Yeah.
can never be fulfilled.
Because like I mean essentially that's what like Teddy said that's what he was doing just to keep him giving him something to do, but he just was doing it at his own advantage. So it's like it's like hard to tell.
But he's gonna be left to his own.
Stuff.
He's gonna be left to his own devices now, for sure.
Yeah,
that's the control. But Teddy was trying to tell him his real past, so that he would. He was trying to end it all. Teddy was trying to end it right there, and he chose to then kill him. He made the choice to kill Teddy to bury that information. That's what I'm saying. He chose by killing Teddy, he buries the truth of his past. That he will never be able to find that. That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree with that, but Teddy, like Guy Pearce knows that Teddy's like lying to him about the diabetic thing, so it becomes I can't believe anything.
But the lies thing, he realized that the Teddy tells lies was a lie from Natalie. Like that was a lie. The whole don't believe Teddy's lies was a lie, and it was actually Natalie.
I know that, but it's this movie's so hard. I've seen this movie like 6 times, and we did so much like going into it. So like because Teddy he catches Teddy lying to him about his wife being diabetic because he's trying to gaslight him into thinking he's Sammy, but Guy Pearce is not Sammy because he remembers everything pre-incident and knows his wife is not diabetic.
I didn't think that was definitive either way. I don't think we know that either way. It
has to be because
it's putting it out there that he is Sammy.
He has his long-term memory.
But he sees both memories. He doesn't just see the right one. He sees both, and it's not clear which one's real. And he makes a decision off of that in that moment to kill Teddy.
Wait, what do you mean both like seeing?
He sees it shows him getting shot by the shot, and it shows her being pinched. It's not clear which of those is real.
But he's seeing it as Teddy's describing it. So it's like when you and I are trying to remember something, like at least for me, like I will visualize that thing. And
I don't think
like,
that's obvious that that's what that is. I think that's a leap to assume that. I feel like that's a thing in movies all the time when somebody describes something and they have a flashback of it actually happening because they're having a revelation like, oh shit, this is how it was. I feel like I've seen that in so many movies.
But he immediately goes to the flashback of the pinch though, and it's like, no, that's not what it was. Like I know my wife, I know my life. Like
I didn't think that was. I feel like he struggled with it because he didn't know, but I didn't think it was definitive. That it wasn't true.
I read it as more definitive on that,
but it's not reading. It's not about reading right now. It's about is it definitive or not.
I am saying it is. I think it is because he knows his wife. He knows his life pre-accident. He knows that she wouldn't have been diabetic. He would have remembered that because he just can't make new memories. They really pound that in, and knowing that, and then also knowing that all the stuff that he's telling him on top of that, saying like, "Oh, this is whatever, this is whatever."
Yeah, I'm on Google. I googled it, and I'm already seeing multiple people say that he killed his wife.
I don't think so.
But you're acting like it's fact, and if it's up to debate, then it's not fact.
I'm saying I think it like how I read it.
I asked you. I didn't ask you what you read it. I asked you, is it definitive or not? And you just said,
"Oh
yes.
no, it's intentionally." And Christopher Nolan has it intentionally there. I thought you meant like, do I definitively?
No, I'm talking about does the movie tell us definitively?
No, it's up in the air intentionally.
Okay, well then we just wasted 10 minutes arguing about it. Like just because that's what I've been saying this entire time. You're arguing with me I'm arguing about what the movie is, and you're talking about what you read, and that's okay. Like we need to do that, but like it's.
I thought you were arguing for the defense of that he did kill his wife. I thought this was like you're on one side.
No, I'm saying that he made a call off of not knowing he made a judgment call to reject his past off of not actually knowing which way it was. That's what I'm saying. That's why he sucks. Is he chooses to kill his past and move on without knowing. He could have wrote all that down and knew the truth, or even put in that I don't know if this is true or not, but he could have, and he chose to then instead tattoo Sammy's fucking license, or not Sammy, Teddy's license plate on him to murder him.
Or manipulating him.
Yeah, but it's also killing the only source of his past. No one else knows him beyond Teddy that we know of.
I guess I take it as like if he
Teddy knows that we are told that Teddy is the bad guy the whole first half of the movie. And then the second half of the movie is learning that actually Teddy isn't like knows Leonard more than anybody and is actually looking out for him to a degree. Yes, is doing something shitty, but it's more complex than Teddy raped and killed my wife, and he deserves to die.
Yeah, it's just Teddy manipulating me, and I don't know what is the truth.
Yeah, but is that even like you've made your own choice? It's obvious he's making his own choices to a degree, also, like choosing to reject. He chose to reject his past and move on with still not knowing if he killed the killer or not.
Because I think him saying like this is revenge now, like his past self is like controlling things for his future self. He's saying this guy manipulated me, so I'm gonna tell myself when I forget that this is the guy as revenge.
I know why he killed Teddy, but I'm talking about the future, past that.
Yeah, but we don't know if after he kills Teddy, if he's like, all right, I did it and it's over or not. We don't know if he fully we don't know if he's going to accept that. But that's assuming.
That's like if without writing anything down, killing Teddy, which we don't see him write anything down. We just know that
it just ends right after he takes the picture.
Then we don't all we know is that Teddy is dead.
Yeah. Like for all we know, he could be done after that. He could have wrote after he took the picture that it's over or something. We just don't know, and it's intentionally left like that.
But he still doesn't know the past. He doesn't know the actual. He's gonna think that he didn't kill his wife. He's gonna think that, or he didn't have like Teddy explained. I don't even understand the whole how the murder happened and the people broke in and whatever. But he doesn't. He's not gonna remember any of that. Like that is all important to understanding what happened to your wife.
But I think all he wants is just revenge. Like. The whole thing. I don't think he cares so much about the answers of it more other
but
than
it
just
matters
because of all the tattoos he has to go off of is just to kill
some of them
guy.
are lies. Some of them are lies. Like he is also manipulating himself with his tattoos. He is an active agent in this film. It's not just manipulation. He gets manipulated at several points and is like has been obviously, but he's also trying to steer himself with these notes, and we find out the whole revelation, the big revelation, I think beyond what Joey Pants tells us, is what I'm trying to talk about is that he is also manipulating himself. He's not always telling himself the truth. He's steering himself, not necessarily making sure he actually understands reality, which is not what we thought in the beginning. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, that's what he said. That's what he says in the car too. Is like, if anyone's gonna manipulate me, it's gonna be myself.
That's what I'm saying. He's choosing to do that, and that also means that he's rejecting the truth. He's rejecting reality. He is rejecting reality, and he's going to take control of it for himself, whatever that means. Whether that means he kills people or not, that is the point of the ending. But I don't. It is not. Is definitely putting it up there that he is he's also a bad guy in this film and manipulating and whatever. Like that is what this movie is definitely putting that forward. That is a strong possibility of what is here.
I would say if we had proof of that in multiple occasions, but all we have is it's up in the air whether anything that Teddy is saying in the end is what's true and what's not.
I feel like I've given multiple. I've given more points to that than you've given to the otherwise.
Well, even in the interviews with Christopher Nolan,
I'm talking about what's in the
Teddy's
film.
Saying is not. We don't know if it's true or not. Anything that he's saying. And so if we we don't know outside of this incident if he has been manipulating himself, other than Teddy could just be gaslighting this whole time to get him to think, no, this is all you. You've been. And it just didn't stick, so I figured, oh, I'll just help you or whatever. Like we don't know how true or what all true is of that. And so for me, I just like I don't think he's that bad of a guy for just saying like, all right, well, if I like I'm gonna kill you for fucking with me for the last year or so. And then if that's the piece I get at the end, thinking I did what I came to do, then that's fine. And I don't think he's that.
You're really focusing on killing Teddy, and I'm not. Like killing Teddy is not the issue. It's that he's rejecting the.
No, but it's
like,
linked.
the
It's
past.
linked with that because like the two go hand in hand. Because
He
knows
can still
that,
remember without killing. He could kill Teddy and still, write down, the shit or whatever. Like he's choosing to wipe the slate clean again. But and it's not even fully clean. It's back to his own clean, which is his incomplete file that he took 12 pages out of, and his lies, the tattoos that are mixtures of truth and lies.
But we don't know that he did.
We definitely saw that But Kory, they show him getting a tattoo of non-truth. That's what I'm like. The movie is showing us that he is capable of lying to himself. So like
yes, but you
have to apply the same standard of skepticism. You have to apply the same standard of skepticism to Teddy that you do to Leonard, and you aren't, because Leonard is the protagonist. That is what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying now, but I don't know. It's just because if Teddy's been there for like, if the part that I'm going in assuming that the only truth that Teddy said was that he's been using him for the last year.
That's the other thing. Is like that's true. Everything bad he says is true, but everything good, everything else he says is not true. Like you can't be the arbiter of what is and what isn't.
Yeah, I guess I'm going based off that because it's like, I don't know. It's because the whole point of it is that no one knows what Teddy's saying is true or not. So it is kind of hard to see if it's just like what I guess I get what you're saying. Like what Guy Pearce is doing outside because Teddy's not like there 24/7 with him. If they like let's say if that part was true, like he could have just been finding his own new John G or whatever, and then just going with it.
Because he's still gonna wake up every day and see that John G raped and murdered my wife, and then he's gonna see a tattoo with the fucking license plate, and it's
why didn't forever go someone just, or like if Teddy was, let's say Teddy was doing this for a year, why don't you just fucking strap him down and tattoo I did it or something on his chest, so that it breaks the cycle or something. But I guess then you lose your goon.
Yeah, Teddy liked using him as this vigilante force, I guess, to kill drug dealers and
dealers and take money on the side.
He could, and then take money on the side. Yeah.
I think this movie's great for the fact that it can be looked at in all these different things.
Yeah, that's what makes it good. That's what makes it good. None of this is what we're saying, I think, is a knock on the movie.
No, this is how good. I would say it's a testament to how good it is.
Yes, because it's nuanced. The ending really makes it nuanced. Like it's you're following what happened, but then the more you think about it and process it, it's like, oh shit, there's this angle. Oh shit, there's this angle. And we obviously have I think that's what made the I think that's why I'm stuck on this point, is that's what made the ending such an impact for me, is learning that the protagonist isn't actually the good guy, is possibly not the good guy.
Yeah.
And Joey Pants, though seeming like a villain because he's a villain in so many things, might not be the bad guy of the film. Like he's a bad guy, but he might not be the bad guy. It's like Natalie, who we thought was the love interest of the film, we find out is not the love interest, is actually a bad guy.
Guy Pearce killed her boyfriend.
She got Guy Pearce to kill her boyfriend for her. So yeah, this movie is a lot of layers. It's like it moves. It's not slow. It's not fast. But it's not like there's some action, but it's not really an action film. It's a lot of like scenes with conversations. But they it's kind of reminds me like a noir mystery, but told in this postmodern way. and that's the best way I can describe it to somebody. And
'Cause
like
it,
his
yeah,
even
it's
the suit and the
definitely a
car,
detective.
it gives it
Mhm.
like kind of detective vibes. And he's in a hotel room, and but yeah,
Yeah, and he's an insurance investigator, so it's
it
like that just
is,
sets it all
yeah,
up.
yeah. He's like a detective adjacent.
Mm.
Um, but yeah. Well, is there anything you want to touch on specifically with Memento? I feel like once you understand the premise and you just try to understand that he wants to know how his wife he wants to find the guy who killed raped and murdered his wife.
Mhm.
So we're just seeing these scenes in similar locations, various locations, with these few characters, and they kind of build on things. But it's really a small movie,
Mhm.
in terms of its scope. But it feels big because of the way the narrative is structured and the way that it's
Mhm.
edited and all that. Um, yeah, is there anything you want to touch on?
I'm trying to think. We pretty much all my notes were about the story stuff because I would just want to know where you stood on who do you think did what, but I think we knocked that out in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I just looking at the
um
time now, so definitely we're good to go here. Is there anything you oh yeah, what are you
oh,
giving? Go ahead.
before I get my score, if you get this movie on Blu-ray or DVD, one of the special features is a recut of the movie in chronological
I
if you
would
would
like to
prefer
see
to watch
that.
it that way.
I think I would like to see it the
Um
second time that way.
yeah,
Just
it helps a lot.
um
Um but yeah, so I recommend this movie. I'm giving this a 4.5 because I've seen it so many times and I still love it. Like this, watching this again a couple days ago, I kind of got done with it. It was just still like, man, is this so fucking good? Um, I just
I,
it's my kind of movie, I guess.
I also gave it a 4.5. I don't know why. I honestly can't tell you why it's not a 5, but it's not. But it's not near perfect. And it's just it definitely did something a visionary, I think, here, and is you could see the
Mhm.
influence on other filmmakers and obviously on Christopher Nolan's own work. But the hype is real with this one, and it's definitely. I was trying to think if it is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I think I'd have to go back and watch a couple of the other ones, but I think just
Mhm.
gut feeling it probably is.
Yeah,
Um,
having not seen Interstellar, this is definitely my favorite Christopher Nolan
I haven't seen
movie.
Interstellar or was it Following his like early films?
I think. Well, this is his second film.
Yeah,
Um,
Following is his first film.
yeah, I've not seen
Um,
that either.
I haven't seen Following. I haven't seen Interstellar. I've seen all of the rest. Um,
Hmm. I think to what you were saying, why you wouldn't give it a 5. The reason I wouldn't give it a 5 personally was just because I felt like I didn't have an extreme emotional moment with this movie. Like watching it,
I think
any
that's
of the
it.
times I watched it, like nothing that really was just like, oh fuck, like whatever. It was more just like, oh wow, like this is. And I think all the movies I've given 5, I've had like a very solid emotional like moment or experience with at some point in the movie.
Um, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of clinical, but it's not like in the way of his later films is, or it's like this clean hospital like um clinicalness to the character, to the performances and the look of it. This is
Mm.
dirtier, grittier. Guy Pearce is like sweaty, and there's blood, like scratches on his face, and like he's disheveled looking a lot, but he's got this nice suit on. And I don't know, I like the vibe of it a lot. I don't know why I wouldn't give it a 5. I think it just will. Yeah, maybe that doesn't have that emotional hit that a 5 I think needs to. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, super impressive, and I'm super glad I finally got to watch it.
Yeah,
All
I'm glad we had to
right,
talk about it.
let's wrap it up. So yeah, I think we pulled an audible on the listeners again this week. We've been having issues. I've been having some health issues, and making it out to the theater is a little bit harder, and just we've been going out a lot, and I think we needed a break. Next week though, we are doing the Matrix, the first half of our Matrix watch. So we will be doing the first Matrix, the Animatrix, and the Matrix Reloaded. And then for the second half, the following week, we will do Matrix Revolutions, and the new one.
The newest trailer for the new one has me slightly back on board.
I really
But
didn't like the original trailer. I liked
yeah,
it at first. It was like member berry like, and then once
mm,
the member berries faded after about the sixth watch, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't look good.
yeah, I caught the second trailer on Reddit, and it makes me more down with it because it's like it sucks because there's been so many member berry reboot style shit, and the Matrix being what it is with it being reboot, like they even say in the Revolutions or Reloaded, there's just this is like the 10th version of the Matrix or whatever. So that opens you up to have these kind of like rebooty, similar but different things.
Yeah,
And I feel like
yeah,
it's just been burned
I
out
get
from the
that.
past decade of
That's what I
real film
assumed they
doing
were doing. It's just like they made a new Matrix,
it.
and somehow I don't understand. Like Neo was reborn because like whatever,
Hmm.
and then we have Morpheus is like and like his descendant or whatever, son or clone, whatever. Like because they said that like Morpheus's role and Neo's role and Trinity's role are always part of the thing, right? The cycle. And
Yeah,
like
the inevitable anomalies that they can't get rid of.
yes, yes. So that would make sense why they're. It's a shame Lawrence Fishburne isn't back because
I know.
he's in great shape and he's awesome. But yeah, we'll see. I'm really excited to watch it with Risk because she's never seen any of them.
Oh,
Um,
that will be exciting.
I'm mainly just excited to see the first two, but I need to see the other two to just be full up on my lore before the new one. I have low expectations, but the first Matrix is probably in my top 5 favorite movies ever, maybe. I really love the Wachowskis, and I think when the Wachowskis are on, that they are some of the best. Speed Racer is one of my favorites as well.
I'm
Yeah.
curious. With this is a single Wachowski on this one, on the new one. So I'm wondering. I'm curious how that will affect or not affect.
I well,
Um,
she I think it's what Lily that's
it- Lily stepped out. Lana is
yeah,
the one directing
Lana's
this
it.
one.
So Lana is usually feels like the leader of the two. I watched a ton of making of the Matrix, the first one, shit last year or 2 years ago or something, because I was super interested in how they came up with their style for it and the aesthetic. And it seems like Lana has always been like the leader of the two, at least the one that talks the most.
Mm,
But of the two. So I feel like I'm not worried about that. And I'm sure that she could consult her sister if she needed to. Uh,
mm.
I read the reasoning for what Lana. What's the other one? I can't remember the first
There's.
names.
I think her name is Lily. Isn't it Lily and
Lily,
Lana?
yeah, Lily. I just said it. Lily said that she didn't want to go back because it was before. She said she didn't want to do a Matrix reboot because it was before her transition, and that it would like kind of feel like rehashing her past life, and she wants to move on and like close the
Mm.
door on that a little bit. And I could totally understand that. But
Wow,
it'll
that
be.
I read it. I was reading stuff in it recently too, and what I read that she was too burned out from the last movie that they did, and she wanted to take a break and step back. Uh,
Oh no, I read it. Like she said that herself was a quote that it was like
yeah, that same the one
it
it was
was
a
from
interview.
like it was like this was from a year or two ago.
This was from like a couple months ago. What I read.
They're probably doing the
Um,
presser up again, and asked her
yeah.
again. But I could see that because that would that was it's from a long time. The first Matrix
Oh
is
yeah,
20
'99, I think.
yeah 23 years ago. Crazy. Just how big those movies were, especially. I remember the second one, and like yeah, it ended up not being that good, but boy, was the hype real before it came out. It felt like the new Star Wars. Like this was going to
Yeah.
be the new trilogy, the new thing. But all right,
I
let's.
yeah.
Would you got anything to say about the Matrix before we let them
I
go?
was just gonna say I remember loving the first one, really liking the third one, and not liking the second. So I'm curious as an adult now how I'm gonna feel about the new one or
I see a lot of
rewatching
people say they like the second one and they say the third one's the worst, and I don't. I always liked the third one more than the second one, but I definitely
Same.
thought they both were not as good. The first one is like I said, it's like a New Hope level film for me, to its genre. That's like what it feels like. That you could. It's a perfect film on its own, and then it starts off this universe. But yeah, all right. I'm excited. So we're already so excited about it. We're talking about it already. So we'll leave it for next week, and y'all have a good one. Make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, leave reviews on Apple and things like that. It all helps a lot and helps us get out there. And we'll see y'all next week.
Later, everybody.
Bye.
Blah, blah, blah.